since I've done my last stream. I've been busy working on the master map in between, so I'll give you a sneak peek of that. This will be the map that goes in the front of the book, the world map, so it's the entire thing all in one. So at the moment I've done this one, and we're working on this one together. Offline I'm working on this one, and I'll eventually do one that covers this little area here. But today we're going to get back to work on Maikaden. I freaking love my little volcanic area there. That's so cool. It's meant to be like geysers and stuff around a volcano, something like Yellowstone. I will just copy in some mountains to give me a head start so I get everything the same size. You may have noticed I've done the mountains different than the world map. That's just because of sizing issues. I'm keeping it basic in terms of mountains and stuff because it's going to be a lot smaller in the book. So like, this is one kingdom compared to having half the world on it. And we're going to paste. And I think they're going to be about the right size too. I think that will be a good start. Okay. So that's where my mountains are going to be. And that'll be my little volcano area. I'm thinking of ditching the lava streams. I just think it detracts from what it's meant to be. So meanwhile, I'm still in lockdown. Restrictions here in New South Wales are getting even tighter each week. It's getting frustrating because like I'm doing the right thing, staying home. I've even cancelled some doctor's appointments just because they weren't essential. Like I can pick up the treatment for that when everything like calms down. It's just so frustrating. There's people over the back of this house who keep having like visitors over, and I'm just sick of it. Like, why should they get to have people over when I can't even see my family? It's just not fair. Like, we're all doing the right thing, and we're the ones who get punished for it. Go down there a bit. I'll come around here. So there are our foothills. Yeah, I think that looks like a good size in reference to the rest of it. I think my canvas is upside down. I'll fix that up offline. As I've said in previous episodes, that along here, that's where it's stuck into the spine. So if we're looking at this in a page in a book, then this will be on the right hand side. The way I do my books is I'll have like, say, part 1, part 2, and then the map will be on the back of that. So if we look at this one, so that's the right hand side of the page. And when you open that page, you've got the map on that side. So I want this map, the edging's going to have to be on that side. Oops. that's what the maps looked like before. So they're going to be updated to the iPad version that I've been working on. Anyway, let's get on with this. So I'll fix that up off air. I don't have a lot of time today, so I want to get as much done as I can before I have to go offline again. Oops. So for the main map, I've been copy pasting a lot. Usually I would draw them all by hand, but I'm finding that this is just, it makes everything so much more consistent because I have such a bad habit, as I've said previously, of getting the sizing like all over the place. So I'll start out small and then next minute I'm doing like huge mountains and stuff. So I get so frustrated with myself. In reality, if I'm penning a map, usually I do like every single element by hand. It's been nice to just do things a little bit differently outside the norm. Remembering that this is for a published book, not just for fun, so it makes a lot of difference. And the cool thing is when you paste it, I can just trim up the little bits that overlap so that it's all nice and neat. And when I'm happy with it, we just join the layers together, flatten them, and they're now all on the one layer. So that's already saved me heaps of work. And then I'll draw the rest in myself just to give a little bit of a variance. So my beta reader has finished reading The Darkest Realm. I don't think he was a big fan of book one, which is understandable, it wasn't as well written, but he was a really good person to read this one. I've been beta reading his books for him, so he was able to give me back the type of feedback I give him. It was just such a great experience. But yeah, anyways, he loved it. And he's like, hurry up, I want the next one. So I'm so excited about this book. What have I done here? Okay, so there's the rest of that section of mountains. Down to 75%, and I'll do that little squiggle that I do. One thing I've learned from this whole experience is the use of shading. So you'll see I'm just using normal pen for the basics. Just by going over the top with the pen again to make it darker, makes it really stand out. I keep saying I'm such a noob at this, but I feel like I'm actually really growing, becoming so much better. Like everyone who's picked up The Lowest Realm and looked at my maps, they're like, oh, these are so cool. And it's like, well, if they think they're cool and I think they're crappy, well, imagine what they're going to think when I think these maps are cool. They're probably going to think they're awesome. One of my friends does anyway. I'm a real harsh critic of myself and my work. That's them. Now we go down to 5% tip. Make sure it's locked in straight, otherwise you'll have like curves on an angle. I like to have a reference on here too. Not sure if you noticed, but you've probably seen I go back and like touch up the single pixels, like that one there. If you look closely at the reference, you can actually see those dots. Like if I find that mountain, where are we? We're over here. So this one here, if you look at the reference, you'll see there's like a little gap there. So if I just gently touch that up, it disappears and just looks a lot neater. Because otherwise when you zoom out, it looks so like messy. And I gotta remember that this is gonna be printed in a book. So I gotta make sure it's gonna look proper. That's got this little area of white that I can see. So just touch over that and it'll blend a lot better. I'll probably have some mountains darker than the others, and that's fine because it gives that little bit of contrast, and like they can't be all exactly the same. If I wanted that, I would just go with Incarnate or Wonderdraft, which are great software packages. I love them both. When I'm doing something so specific like my own maps for these books, I just find it really hard to get the elements to do what I want. That's why I prefer drawing. Twitter is where I'm most active on social media. I get notifications, so if you ever want to DM me for like map help or say how cool I am or whatever, yeah, right. Twitter's probably the best place to get a hold of me. My DMs are always open. Or you can find me on Facebook. That's where I post most of my updates. So anyways, that's where we're up to now. Now I just have to, usually I do this in the new layer, but I'm going to trust myself for once. Now go back to the 100% tip. Okay, keep an eye on the reference down the bottom corner there. I don't know if that comes up clear on your devices or not. When I go over this, it makes it stand out so much darker. And 75% for the inner working there. I think. Is that what I use? Yeah. Simple outlining just makes a world of difference.
You can still have a long lunch. Hit up your favorite delivery service and get a massively delicious Subway footlong sub delivered right to your desk. Now that's fresh. Delivered fresh. Subway. Eat fresh.
There's a couple I missed. Okay, I think that's everything shaded over. So now it's a lot harder to tell that I've copy and pasted half of them or 3/4 of them, because they're all different enough that, yeah, they got that bit of variance. There we go, what do you think of that? So what I do from here, we'll get our note layer back just so I have a rough guide. I'm going to choose my victim. For my note layer I use colour code, so brown is for mountains, yellow for foothills, green for forests obviously. Looks like we might be getting a storm soon. Hope so. It's been brewing for a while. Okay, so now paste. I'll paste that into the other section there. And paste. Put that over here. Yeah, if you do the copy and paste method, make sure you trim up and like erase around where you land your layer, your inserted image. Otherwise you'll be left with overhangs that are really hard to neaten up by hand. So if I put that there and just flatten the layer, fixing up that river and making it blend in properly is just a nightmare. So when it's a layer, like if I dump that, if I just wanted those two little mountains there, to clean that up will probably ruin my image. So, because this is, the inserted image is a layer, I can just go ahead and rub that out with the erase tool. Look at that, no mess. So that's really handy for like doing things on the edges like I just did. I might want that big peak right there, but I don't want the other two. So I can just go ahead and erase those. And no one will ever know. I feel like those mountains might be a bit gappy. No, they'll be right. Another good reason for having so many layers is when you select a chunk like that, it's not going to get the borders or other sections of the map in there. It'll be just that layer. Also, don't flatten your layers all into one until you're sure you've got those edgy bits too. Can't remember if I mentioned that or not.
Look at you, listening to Spotify while you do whatever it is that you're doing. That's exactly why it makes sense to promote your business here. Yeah, your business. Whether you have 2 employees or 2,000, your voice can reach as broad or as narrow of an audience as you need, and connect with them where visual media can't. Try it today at adstudio.spotify.com or tap the banner to learn more.
I'm going to copy this little section here because I love it. Okay, I'll just go around there. This is probably going to have to be a trace layer because it's the size difference. Okay, so about there roughly. It's my little volcano. It's so cute. I like to do the volcanoes a little bit different just so they stand out from the mountains. It's like people who are vision impaired might not notice it. Sometimes I don't notice stuff like that, but they're things I'd like to notice. Being a bit dyslexic. What I want to know is, if you're a fantasy reader, what do you like to see in maps? I know I like to see a very detailed map that's to scale, so I can track where my heroes are going throughout the story. But some maps I've seen are quite plain, or they just don't tie in with the story, which is a bit sad. Before I published The Lowest Realm, I actually went to my local library and went to the fantasy section, pulled out 10 to 15 different books and just looked at all the different maps, and it's like, okay, I like that one, that one, that one, I like that style, but I don't like that. There's actually a post on that on my blog. If I remember, I'll link it when I upload this one to YouTube. Maps are for the reader. I read an article that was saying that you shouldn't discuss maps in the actual story. I don't know if I just misunderstood the article or not, but as a reader, I kind of like knowing that my heroes are following a map. So otherwise, like, how are they going to know where they're going? It's just logic. Now that I've done the swampy bit, the geyser bit, I'm going to delete that so I don't accidentally flatten it. Chuck those in as well. Let's chuck up our note layer again. think I've mentioned this before, make sure the canvas is locked in straight too. Because not only does the shading lines come out on an angle, so does the mountains and other elements. I think I'm going to delete that. It could be confusing. Thankfully it's a layer, so I can just whip that out. So in the next session we'll finish off the mountains, we'll do the foothills, and then I think I'll do the rest of the forests. That's all I've got time for today. Thanks for joining, and hopefully I'll have the videos up soon from the previous streams. I'll cut all the crap out, speed it up, and make it much easier to watch. That's all for now, so take care, and I'll be back on in a couple days. Bye.